Welcome to a brand new weekly series hosted by Two Peas in a Bucket called Seeing Double. This series is dedicated to showing you how to stretch your supplies to create both a layout and a bonus project. I'm Garden Girl Jen Gallacher, and today I wanted to show you how you can stretch your stamps and we will create both a layout and a framed piece of art. So I have pulled some stamps that I found in the 2P store. I will also recommend some additional stamps. If any of these products are out of stock, simply click the Notify Me button next to the product, and when it comes back in stock, you'll be notified. Or you can select something from your own stash or get something entirely new. We're going to start with this My Mind's Eye doily stamp. I really love this particular stamp. And I am going to stamp the doily stamp on the edges of this layout. And I usually stamp on a piece of foam. I also have this cutting board that I have from American Crafts. I've used that before. And I'm going to stamp off the edge, so I want a scratch piece of paper. Now when you're selecting ink, you need to determine if you want to have a contrasting color or coordinating color. And I'm just going to use some brown ink that shows up lightly on my layout. So you can see that I'm just stamping here. Then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the same thing on the other corner. And press firmly. Love the doily stamps, they make great background images. So let's go ahead and start building the layout. The first thing that I have is I have a piece from a mini album from October Afternoon, and it is meant to go in a mini album, but I like using these for foundations on my layout, so I'm going to use it that way, and I'm going to adhere that to the page. And you can see from the way I'm adhering it that the doilies show on the other side. Now I have a photo that I've printed, and it's of my daughter blowing bubbles, and we'll adhere that to the page with some glue dots. And I'm going to use that October Afternoon mini album sheet to center her photo on top. Now I have pulled a lot of different stamps. I'm going to be using a butterfly stamp from Doodlebug, and it's just this teeny tiny little stamp. And when I'm stamping on cardstock, there are usually a textured side as well as a smooth side. And I usually stamp on the smooth side, and I use the texture for other things. Now, we carry a lot of different colors of cardstock in the store, and I will go ahead and link you to those. A lot of them are from American Crafts, and they make beautiful colors of cardstock. And we're going to stamp several of these. Now, one way to stretch your supplies is that while you have your stamps out is to go ahead and stamp a few extra pieces. And then, after you have stamped the images, I fussy cut around them like this. And then I took a sheet from Dots and Stripes collection from Echo Park Paper. This is kind of a hot color of yellow that's showing up a lot in home decor. And so I pulled this yellow and I cut a strip, and then I took those fussy cut butterflies and I machine stitched down the center, and then I folded them up. So one way to stretch your supplies is to stamp and then cut out the image. Go ahead and adhere this at the top of the layout. And then I have a photo corner from Canson that I'll just adhere to that very top left corner. Now the next piece I want to show you is something I collect a lot, are background stamps, and this is a big background stamp. Studio Calico makes several. Hero Arts is one of my favorite companies for background stamps because they're large stamps that are perfect for card bases as well as any other kind of large background that you want. Now I'm going to stamp this with some blue stamping ink, so I lay it flat on my surface and I ink up the entire stamp. You can see why I have this behind my projects because I don't get ink on my desk. Then I'll take cardstock that I've pre-cut, and again I'm stamping on the smooth side, and I will adhere it on the top, and then using a brayer I'm going to press that cardstock firmly into the stamp. When you have a large stamp, this one's almost 4 by 6. I find it's easiest to press the paper into the stamp rather than the other way around. This way I get a nice clean image. Now I want to do 2 of these, so I've pre-stamped 2 of them because I'm going to use this particular same stamp, same color, same ink for my bonus project. So again, while your supplies are out, go ahead and add multiple things because you never know. You can create a stash for holding these supplies or whatever you like. So I've stamped this again and I've stitched around the edge of it, and we'll go ahead and adhere it to my layout. And blue and yellow is a very hot trend right now, so I'm using some blue on there. And then I have some smaller photos that, again, I've printed here at home, and we'll adhere these on my stamped rectangle. You can use whatever adhesive you like to adhere your photos. I like to use the glue dots because I print my photos at home and they don't always stick. Then I have some buttons that I've pre-tied with twine, and we'll go ahead and add these to the layout. I have a nice big one. And there's lots of twine. We actually have solid twine now as well. We'll tie this one in a bow. And then we'll add the other ones that I've pre-tied with twine to the stamped box. And you can see that by using background stamps, it's like pattern paper, and you can create your own pattern paper, and the same stamp can have a different look each time you use it. Then I have some washi tape. The blue is coming from Echo Park Paper. I happen to have some because I'm getting ready for the CHA show. And this is from Bella Boulevard, and washi tape is a great little accent. And I like layering different widths and different styles. Now for this bottom section, I'm going to stamp on some slightly darker craft cardstock. And craft cardstock comes in multiple shades and different flecks of grains you can see in the pattern. So I'm going to use this particular stamp set from Studio Calico, and I like this bold number border. And I'll go ahead and stamp that on the bottom of my layout. And again, I'm using that darker tan on tan stamping ink. So I collect several different shades of tan and blues depending on what I'm using. Now when I'm creating a background using a border stamp, I repeat the stamp several times. And because this is a clear, clean stamp, I can see where I'm stamping so that I create that repetitive border. Now I went ahead and stamped this earlier, and then I machine stitched around it so you can see what it looks like. And we'll adhere this to the bottom of this October Afternoon mini album sheet. Then I have some yellow fringe from Heidi Swap. And to adhere that, I usually like to use double-sided red sticky tape. And you just adhere that at the bottom. And then you peel off that red covering, and that allows you to directly stick the border on top. Then I have a tag from Pebbles Ink that's in that blue that I've been using. And we'll add that, and then we'll add some brads and a button. So you can see how I repeat my designs. I'm going to go ahead and cut off that twine. Don't be afraid to alter the embellishments that you buy to fit your personal style. So these particular brads are from Echo Park Paper. And I like the circular elements. Now on this side of the page, I have die cut a shape. You can use a Silhouette die cut machine. This is a Tim Holtz standard die, and I've just cut it from some paper from American Crafts, and I've printed my journaling directly onto the paper. I don't particularly like my handwriting, so I often do this. And then we'll add that right here at the bottom. And then I have a strip of green cardstock that I've notched the ends, and we'll put that at the top of the journaling. And then I have yellow at the top of the layout and yellow at the bottom, so I'm going to add a few strips of yellow cardstock that I've cut. Again, I'll link you to the American Crafts cardstock. We Are Memory Keepers often has cardstock that matches their particular collections that they've released, so watch for those as well. And then I always stock up on white craft and black cardstock, because really those are staples. Now in the store we have a fun tool. It's called frame cuts, and they're these wafer thin dies from Hero Arts, and I used it to die cut this yellow shape, and then I'm going to stamp on it with a phrase from one of our exclusive die cuts, and I'm going to stamp this beautiful word. These are great for Project Live, Photo Freedom, Documenting Daily, cards, projects, whatever you want. And again, stamp 2 of these because we're going to be using this in our framed art piece. And then I'm going to adhere this right here. And it makes just a nice little statement piece. And then I'm going to staple that particular piece to the layout. It's a fun way to bring in some metal elements, and you can add an additional staple if you want. And then we'll add a little bit more washi tape down here at the bottom. If I use it once on a page, I try and use it at least twice, sometimes 3 times. So there you have a layout that uses a couple of different stamps: background stamps, image stamps, border stamps, phrase stamps. Now let me show you how I've stretched this to create a project. Again, I used the stamp, the number stamp, I used the background stamp, and I used the butterfly stamp and the phrase stamp. And just by stamping at the exact same time, I was able to create a framed piece. I did the same techniques by machine stitching and folding it up, and I added a button with twine. And just while you have your supplies out, that's a great way to stretch your supplies. Thank you for joining me for today's Seeing Double tutorial. Look for a new tutorial each Friday. Be sure to visit the 2-Piece website for the complete supply list for creating these projects, as well as additional product suggestions, photographs, and tips and tricks for stretching your supplies.